Most of us believe in some way or another that our relationship issues would all be solved if we were just with the right partner. But the truth is, when it comes to being the right partner and choosing the right partner, it's about choosing and being a conscious partner. And that isn't about finding someone who is conscious, because we are all conscious at times. It's about learning how to develop the ability of being conscious within yourself and then bringing that consciousness to your relationship. And this is what we'll be talking about in today's episode. Welcome to Relate Higher, a podcast dedicated to providing the leading standard in conscious higher relating and to teaching you a conscious framework for all of your relationships. This is your go-to resource for developing meaningful, conscious relationships across your life. I'm your host, award-winning relationship coach and consultant and former family lawyer, Leticia Ringe. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today, I'm introducing you to our sixth and final C to a conscious romantic relationship, and that is the topic of consciousness. We couldn't really talk about conscious romantic relationships without talking about consciousness, could we? Now, I know for so many of you, when you hear about trying to be conscious in a relationship, or from the research you've done so far about conscious relationships, you might be thinking, it sounds like a lot of work, or it doesn't sound very fun and lighthearted. It sounds like we'll constantly be talking about traumas and healing, and is that really what I want to set myself up for? What I want you to know is that being in a conscious relationship is not about talking about your trauma all the time. It's not about trying to understand why you are the way you are all of the time. It's not about constantly healing. Being in a conscious relationship, the way that I teach it, is about approaching your relationship as often as you can from a place of consciousness. Now, consciousness generally, if you look up the definition on Google, it's about being aware of oneself and one's surroundings. I like to expand that definition to be moving from a place of, yes, awareness of self, awareness of your partner, and also awareness of your relationship. And it's about moving from love and moving with intention. So far in this series of the podcast, you've learned about the power of commitment. You've learned about the power of co-creation. You've learned about the power of conflict management, conscious communication, and also connection. All that you've learned so far is about exercising your power of intention in your romantic relationship. So when we're moving from intention and we're moving from a place of love rather than our default conditioning of fear, and we're moving forward with an expanded awareness of ourselves, of our partner, and our relationship, this gives us all the power to make great decisions for the relationship, to support the relationship in the way that it's needed, to support the two people, you and your partner, in the relationship that's needed. It's what sets you up to create an environment where you're not just surviving, but you're thriving as a couple, as partners, and as a relationship. So being in a conscious relationship is about the way you approach your relationship. It's not about constantly rehashing the past, constantly looking at childhood wounds, constantly looking at traumas, constantly being focused on healing. It's about knowing that you have a choice from which energy you approach the relationship. And when you choose to approach the relationship from a place of consciousness, you set yourself up for the success to create a relationship that thrives. So it's about doing the day-to-day, moment-to-moment work to come back to consciousness, because you are a human, so you will naturally slip into unconsciousness. You will naturally slip into fear-based thinking. You'll naturally slip back into old patterns that don't serve you. That's okay. It's about picking yourself back up again. And when you and your partner are committed to a conscious relationship, it means that you learn how to exercise this consciousness within yourself, but even more importantly, you come together to support each other in showing up consciously. So when one of you inevitably slips back into an old pattern and into unconscious ways of relating, the other person will be there lovingly and with support and respect to remind you of your choice. You get to be each other's teammate in that. And that is what allows you to expand your consciousness and to become actively a more conscious person in your life. And it's because of your romantic relationship that you get to do this. So, your capacity for consciousness, yes, it is an individual process. And when you combine forces in a relationship, you both get to support each other with that task together as a team. Now, what this does is it actually avoids all of that work that you think you're going to have to do by being in a conscious relationship. It's about moment to moment coming back to consciousness. That's the work, that's the effort, rather than requiring so much more effort from you at some point in the future because you haven't done this work. This is where we end up in really messy divorces and separations, big conflict and arguments, not having our needs met, just floating through relationships, not being satisfied and building up resentment over time. It's also where, yes, you actually might fall into constantly wondering why you are the way you are and talking about it and being stuck in the past rather than acknowledging, okay, I'm aware that this was all created for a reason, to protect me. I can see that, but I also see that I have a choice and I can choose anything in my life. And so I am going to learn how to come back to consciousness again and again and again, because that is where all my power is to choose what I want to create versus recreating the familiar past. This is where my approach to conscious relationship is very different to many of the other conscious relationship teachers out there, and it's also very different to most couples therapy and counseling. Instead of rehashing the past and focusing on trauma and wounds and staying there for a long time and bringing it back up and creating even more of an identity around your past, instead, we might spend a little bit of time looking at the past, but the focus is on bringing you into the present moment and back to your choice to choose whatever you want. You can create whatever you want in your life, just like you can create whatever you want in your relationship. My guess is if you're in a romantic relationship or you desire to be in one, that you want to create love. So in order to create love, you need to move from love. You need to remind yourself that you create love actively through the choices you make and the way you approach your partner, yourself, and your relationship. That is all within your power. In order to approach your relationship consciously, you want to be tuning into the 3 different entities within a relationship. They are you, your partner, and your relationship. When you tune in to each of these 3 entities, you will be checking in to see where each is coming from. Are they moving from intention? Are they moving from love? Are they moving with awareness? And if not, it's not about judging and beating up on yourself or your partner. It is about bringing yourselves back to a place of consciousness, back to a place where you are moving from intention, where you are moving from love, and where you are moving from a place of awareness. In today's episode, I'm going to give you a series of questions you can use to help you expand your consciousness and have you tap into each of these 3 entities. These questions will help you take your power back so that you can return your relationship, your partner, and yourself back to a place of love, back to a place of safety, back to a place of security, and back to a place of thriving. This is where all of your power lies, and it's all created through these questions I'm going to give you today in this episode. Now, before I go through this series of questions with you all, I have an exciting announcement. I am opening up a brand new program for everyone in our community called The Conscious Relationship. This is a cutting-edge program which will take you through my conscious relationship process that to date has only been available to my private coaching clients. This program is for singles and couples who want to create thriving love and romantic partnership. You'll be learning a practical process and set of tools that you can implement into a current relationship or into a future romantic relationship. If you're not in a relationship right now, this is extremely supportive for you because it will show you what you need in order to create a healthy, satisfying, deeply thriving, and fulfilling relationship. This will make you feel more safe and also clear on who it is you want to partner with in terms of your romantic relationship. And if you are in a relationship right now, what this will do is give you the tools to nurture your relationship so that you can move it from wherever it is now to an even better place and chapter for your relationship. It's what will help you to continue to evolve your relationship so that you and your partner are truly showing up and experience the greatest love and connection you can imagine. Now, I'll be opening up enrollment for this program on the 29th of July. However, I've already opened a waitlist which you can join at relatehigher.com/the conscious relationship. I recommend you join the waitlist because I'll be offering a special discount just to those people who are on the waitlist on the 29th of July. Make sure you join the waitlist before this time so that you receive an email with all of the details about the program and the discount once it's open. If you're listening to this episode later in the future, make sure you follow that same link because you'll be able to find all of the details about the program so that you can implement everything you've been learning on this series of the podcast, all about creating thriving, conscious romantic relationships. All right, back to the episode. So I mentioned that I'll be sharing with you a series of questions that you can use to return yourself to consciousness as an individual in a relationship as well as a couple. I want to explore these questions using 3 layers. Layer 1 is all about you. The questions you want to be asking here are, am I aware right now? This is a really great question to bring you back into the present moment. Second question is, am I aware of what is happening within me right now? Third question is, am I moving from a place of love, awareness, and intention? Fourth question, what do I need in order to return to a place of love, awareness, and intention? These questions, first of all, help you get back into the present moment, which is what snaps you back into consciousness. You're then tuning inside yourself to check in and understand what is happening within me right now. I suggest that when you do this, you check in from a mind, body, and intuition or soul level. Then thirdly, you're getting clear on whether you're showing up from love, awareness, and intention. Most of the time, the answer will be no. And so the fourth question is then asking you to tune in to your inner wisdom to discern what it is you need to return to love, awareness, and intention. This is all you need to do. It only needs to take a couple of minutes, and then it will allow you to move from a very different place and energy. This also helps you to take responsibility for your energy and perspective that you're bringing to the relationship. And it helps you bring your power back so that you're coming from a place of choice rather than from a place of simply recreating the past and the relationships that have been modeled to you over time, which usually don't serve your highest good or your partners. Okay, so that's layer 1. We're tuning into ourselves because we must start with self-awareness. And on the subject of self-awareness, I also want to direct you, if you haven't yet listened, to the second series on my podcast, which is all about developing a conscious relationship with yourself. This is so incredibly important because sometimes we use our relationship for an outlet for our own lack of consciousness within ourselves and our own life. And we use and blame the relationship rather than taking responsibility for what we truly have control and power over. So my second series on the podcast, which is all about creating and cultivating a conscious relationship with you, will help give you the tools to develop that conscious relationship with yourself. I'll link the first episode to this episode here. Now, layer 2 is to now look to your partner. Now, as you look at your partner, it's really important that the lens you look at your partner through is from a place of love, also awareness and intention, which is why the first layer and the self-reflection and self-awareness you've just gained is incredibly important. You want to look at your partner from a place of love, a place of respect, and you want to be looking at them from a place where you're seeking to understand them. If you haven't yet listened to my episode about conscious communication, I highly recommend you go back there because there's a lot of helpful suggestions in that episode about how to do just that. So the questions you now want to be asking yourself about your partner are as follows. Is my partner conscious right now? What is happening within my partner right now? Are they moving from a place of love, awareness, and intention? What do they need to move from a place of love, awareness, and intention? Now, there's two things to know on this series of questions. You first want to be checking in and asking these questions of yourself because there's so much that we actually understand and are picking up on and are aware of when we tune into our partner as a separate person from us. And knowing what we do about them, a lot of you will be in long-term relationships. There's a lot that you know and see from your partner that they find difficult to even see within themselves. And it's the same for your partner with you. So it's great to start from a place where you're really tuning in and picking up on what you're picking up from them that they might not yet be able to see. This helps you to gauge the way that you approach them because then what you want to do as their partner is then approach them in a loving and respectful way as a teammate rather than someone on the other side, and you want to call them back into consciousness. So you now want to hold the space for your partner to help bring them back into consciousness. You might ask questions like these. What's happening within you right now? What do you need? This is what I'm hearing from you. What do you want to create here? These are all open-ended questions intentionally because you want to allow your partner to come back to a place of consciousness, but not from a place where you are telling them how they're feeling and what's happening for them or that they're doing something wrong. That will just lead to protective strategies and defenses coming up. Instead, you want to guide them, and you do this through an open-ended way so that they can find their own answers and access their own inner wisdom within. Simply asking these questions holds all of the power because it allows your partner to slow down and check in. It prompts them to check in. It prompts them to understand themselves more deeply. And so inevitably they will return to a place of consciousness. And that last question reminds them of their choice here. What are they creating and what are they choosing to create? Next, you move to layer 3. Now we're tuning in to the relationship as a separate entity from you and your partner. The reason we want to do this is because the relationship itself, which is the combination of you and your partner coming together in love, it has its own needs. It has its own energy. So you both bring your own energy and needs, but then you come together and create something separate to each other as individuals. So you want to be tuning in and asking what the relationship needs. And you will notice that often what the relationship needs is different to what you and your partner need, which is wild because we're so used to just checking in and tuning into what we need. And so we think this is what's needed, but actually there's what you need, what your partner needs, and then also what the relationship needs. So the questions to ask here are we both aware of our relationship right now? Second question, are we both aware of what our relationship needs from us right now? Third question is, what does our relationship need to return to love, awareness, and intention right now? These questions will help both you and your partner to not only nurture and meet what you both individually need to return to consciousness, but it will also tap you back into being conscious and aware of the relationship itself. So these three layers of questions support both you and your partner to return to consciousness and to be supported by one another, and it helps you to tune into that further third layer, which is about what you're actually creating together. So this, in its most simple and practical form, is the work in a conscious relationship. When you do this work, it saves you from big blow-ups in the future of not being on the same page. It helps you come to a place of collaboration together and a place of consciousness together, which is actually what protects you both from the fear that you are avoiding. Isn't that incredible? We utilize these protective strategies that we learn when we're children. We keep repeating them from places of unconsciousness to protect us from the disconnection, the fear, the separation that we're all so afraid of. But actually, where you find that protection from fear, disconnection, and separateness is actually through expanding your consciousness so that you come from a place of love, so that you come from a place of connection, so that you come from a place of togetherness. This is what you're learning how to do through utilizing everything you're learning in this series, and especially in this episode today. Finally, I want to leave you with a statement that you can take away to remember what you've learned in today's episode. That statement is as follows: consciousness is what gives me the power to create what I want rather than what I've learned to date about relationships. It requires minor daily effort in order to avoid huge effort later on in the future. Now, let's summarize what you've learned in today's episode. Consciousness is the 6th C to a conscious romantic relationship. Consciousness is about the way you approach your romantic relationship. It's about moving from love versus fear, moving with intention, and from a place of awareness. We do this by tapping into the 3 different entities within a relationship. And you now have a series of questions that will help you to do this. Layer 1, Layer 2, and Layer 3. They should be done in that order because you need to start with your own awareness and expanded consciousness in order to hold that space for your partner. Remember that you become a reminder to your partner to return to consciousness. And it's not about telling your partner they need to do that. It is about, with respect, guiding them to a place of consciousness through the asking of open-ended questions, which allows them to find that inner wisdom and consciousness within themselves. And remembering that once you arrive at a place of consciousness together or even as individuals, you then get to tune into not only an awareness of your partner, but also an awareness of your relationship itself. And that's really important because often what is needed to thrive in the relationship is different to what you and your partner need as individuals. And a thriving relationship is going to take notice and support all 3. If you want to learn more about how to approach your romantic relationship consciously, either for a relationship you're in right now or one in the future, I remind you that I'm opening up a brand new program that will tell you exactly how to do this. You'll learn a practical step-by-step process for implementing a conscious relationship in your life. I'll teach you how to start a conscious romantic relationship. I'll teach you how to take a relationship you're in right now and step into conscious relationship together. And I'll also teach you how to prepare yourself for a conscious relationship in the future if you're in between relationships or single right now. You'll learn practical tools that you can draw upon in your relationship, as well as a process that will have you showing up in your relationship consciously. Don't forget to put your name on the waitlist right now at relatehigher.com/the conscious relationship. You'll receive a special discount there as someone on the waitlist. And if you're listening to this in the future, you'll find all of the details at that same link on my website. And finally, if you want private coaching support to take you as you radically transform your romantic relationship or your romantic life if you're not in a relationship right now, this is the work I do with my clients in my Conscious Relationship Coaching Program. You can find all the details about that and submit your application at relatehigher.com/CRCP. All right, my friends, that's the end of today's episode. I'll see you in my next episode, which will be our season finale for season 3 on the podcast, which has been all about conscious romantic relationships. Bye. Thank you for listening to Relate Higher, your go-to resource for learning how to consciously approach all of your relationships. To deepen your learning and practice, make sure you're subscribed to receive the Relate Higher community newsletter. This is a weekly newsletter sent to you every Monday, providing further coaching and education to support your relationships. Subscribe at relatehigher.com/community. And if you haven't yet left a 5-star review for the podcast, we ask that you please do that now so that this podcast can reach other listeners who also want to learn and practice conscious higher relating. Because remember, the more people who learn, the better relationships we all enjoy.